So picture this. You are staring at an empty inbox. Um, the massive project you've been agonizing over for, like, weeks is due in exactly 2 hours.
Oh, boy. I know exactly where this is going.
Right. And the teammate who promised you the final critical data points has just completely vanished.
That's ghosted.
Literally ghosted. Like no email, no text, no heads up on Slack, nothing.
Yeah, that is the worst feeling.
It really is.
Yeah.
In that exact moment, your heart rate spikes, your stomach drops, and you are just left completely scrambling. But here's the thing about that scenario.
Go on.
In that moment, it's not just a deadline that is dying. It is a relationship that is fracturing. Like, the immediate panic is about the project, sure, but the lingering damage, the resentment you're going to feel tomorrow and next week and next month, that is all about trust.
It is a totally visceral reaction, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And it happens because the ground just completely falls out from under you.
Yeah.
You realize that you cannot predict the environment you are operating in, and honestly, that is uniquely stressful for the human brain.
Exactly. We've all been there. And we all know how long that kind of damage actually takes to heal.
Years, sometimes.
Yeah. So today, our mission for this deep dive is to dissect the anatomy of that fracture and, more importantly, how to prevent it. We're drawing from the really brilliant framework laid out in Charles Feltman's notes and excerpts from his book, The Thin Book of Trust, Mastering Workplace Reliability and Connection.
It's such a great resource.
It really is. We are going to decode trust today. We want to take it out of the realm of this, vague, fuzzy, almost mystical feeling that corporate retreats are always talking about.
Right, the trust falls and all that.
Exactly. And we want to break it down into the actual mechanics, small, actionable steps you could apply to your daily life right now.
Which is such a vital translation to make, I think, because we tend to treat trust like the weather.
Like the weather.
Yeah, like it's something that just magically happens to us or something completely outside of our control. Like, oh, it's raining today, or oh, I guess we don't have trust today.
Right.
But Feldman's work strips that illusion away completely. Trust is a deliberate construct.
And to understand that construct, Feltman uses this incredible core analogy that will serve as our map today. He describes trust as an invisible thread that connects us.
I love that visual.
Me too. It holds everything together. When that thread is strong, work flows smoothly. Information moves, people collaborate, things just work without friction.
Yeah.
But when that invisible thread is broken or even just severely frayed, things fall apart remarkably fast. Every email gets second-guessed. Every interaction feels really heavy.
That is the perfect visualization. Because the overarching perspective we need to hold on to today is that trust isn't just some productivity hack for getting work done efficiently.
Right. It's deeper than that.
Exactly. It's about building relationships that can actually endure through difficult moments. It's about creating a foundation so structurally sound that when a crisis hits, and, a crisis will always hit eventually, the relationship doesn't shatter.
The thread might pull really taut under the pressure, but it holds.
Precisely. It holds.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with how that invisible thread is spun in the first place. Before we can survive a crisis, we have to build the baseline of interpersonal connection. And that baseline really comes down to two foundational elements, care and sincerity.
Two very big words that mean very specific things here.
Right. Let's look at care first. The core idea here is that we have to actively communicate care. Because when people feel genuinely seen, they feel valued.
Absolutely.
Think about a manager checking in at the start of the day. A lot of managers will ask the standard, somewhat robotic, like, how's the project going?
The status update check-in.
Right. But a manager who is actively building trust asks, how's life treating you today? And if the employee admits they are drowning, the manager simply says, I'm here if you need help.
It sounds incredibly simple, almost deceptively so.
Yeah, it really does.
But that tiny shift in phrasing completely changes the psychological dynamic of the interaction.
Yeah.
You are shifting from a purely transactional relationship to a relational one.
But I want to play devil's advocate for a second. On behalf of everyone listening who works in a really high-pressure environment, isn't there a serious risk of overstepping here?
What do you mean?
Well, we're talking about places where deadlines are looming, KPIs absolutely have to be met, and the margin for error is just zero. Work is work. Why is it so crucial to cross that line and ask about, life? Doesn't that just invite a whole host of messy, personal problems into a space that is supposed to be strictly professional?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to remember that human beings are not machines, and our brains do not possess an on-off switch for stress.
That's very true.
We don't just shut off our personal lives, our anxieties, or our burnout the moment we badge into the office. So, by showing genuine care, even in these seemingly tiny ways, you are signaling to that person that you see them as a human first and an employee second.
You are acknowledging their actual reality.
Precisely. And neurologically speaking, when people feel seen and valued, their stress response, like the amygdala hijack that puts us in fight or flight mode, it downregulates.
Oh, wow. So it physically calms them down.
Yes. It creates psychological safety. If you don't care about the human, that employee is going to spend like 20% of their cognitive bandwidth just masking their stress.
Just pretending to be okay.
Exactly. But when they feel safe with you, it encourages open, honest communication about everything, including the work.
That makes a lot of sense.
If they are struggling with a task, they won't hide it out of fear of looking incompetent. They will come to you early because they know you actually care about their well-being, not just their output.
So you are essentially preempting a massive disaster by creating an environment where people aren't terrified to admit they are overwhelmed.
You hit the nail on the head.
But empathy alone isn't enough, right? I mean, you can care about someone deeply, but if you constantly leave them hanging, that goodwill evaporates so fast.
Oh, instantly.
Which brings us to the second baseline element, sincerity. Sincerity means saying what you mean and actually following through.
It is the alignment of your words and your actions.
Right. Think about a classic office trap. You agree to help a coworker with a major presentation by next week. But as the week goes on, your own plate just overflows.
We've all been there.
The deadline is suddenly way too tight. And the instinct for so many of us is to just avoid the person, put our heads down, and hope a miracle happens.
Yeah, the old, if I don't make eye contact, the deadline doesn't exist strategy.
Which, for the record, I have tried. And my manager confirmed the deadline was, in fact, still there.
It is a universally flawed strategy. But we all try it because avoiding immediate discomfort is just human nature.
Exactly. But instead of doing that, sincerity requires you to approach them early. You go to them on a Tuesday and say, hey, I thought I could handle this, but I misjudged my bandwidth. I need more time. Can we plan for the following week?
And the mechanism behind why this works is really fascinating. Being sincere in this specific way builds immense trust because you are establishing a pattern of absolute predictability.
Right, you become a known quantity.
That coworker learns in real time that you will always be upfront with them, even when the news is difficult, even when it is highly inconvenient for you to admit it.
Yeah.
They learn they never have to guess where they stand with you or worry that you are hiding bad news.
It just eliminates the anxiety of the unknown.
Exactly. The unknown is one of the biggest killers of workplace morale because it forces people to constantly monitor their environment for threats. By being sincerely upfront, you act as almost like a nervous system regulator for your team. You remove their cognitive load.
You are replacing anxiety with clarity. I love that framing. So, sincerity and care set the right intentions. They get the relationship off on the right foot and keep the air clear.
Baseline established?
Right. But a relationship requires ongoing continuous action to sustain those expectations day to day.
Yeah.
Like, we need to move the discussion from just having good intentions to the actual mechanics of trust.
The daily grind of it.
Yeah. How do you prove on a random Tuesday afternoon that you are trustworthy? The framework points to two main daily mechanics: reliability and acknowledging your limits.
Reliability is where the invisible thread really gets its tensile strength.
Right. Trust grows through consistent, reliable actions. It's the mundane stuff. It is delivering a required report every single Friday before noon without ever letting your colleague down.
Yeah, it's not glamorous at all.
It's not flashy. It's not a grand gesture that gets you a promotion. It's just doing what you said you were going to do repeatedly.
Because meeting expectations repeatedly creates this subconscious dopamine loop for your colleagues. They learn that relying on you is safe. Over time, those tiny repeated actions just compound.
It's like compounding interest.
Exactly like compounding interest in a bank account. It forms a remarkably solid foundation. It's the shift from a colleague thinking, I hope they get this done, to, I know for a fact they will get this done.
That predictability reduces friction in the entire system. But then we get to the second mechanic, which is acknowledging your limits. admitting what you don't know.
Yeah.
Imagine being asked to use a new, completely unfamiliar software tool for a major project.
Oh, the dreaded new software rollout.
Right. Instead of faking it until you make it, you just say, hey, I'm not entirely familiar with this platform, but I'll learn it. Can I ask for some guidance to get started?
Yeah.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because this feels like a reverse flex to me.
A reverse flex.
Yeah. Like, we are so socially conditioned to think that we need to project absolute total competence at all times to be trusted. We think vulnerability is weakness. So why does admitting ignorance actually build credibility?
It seems like a paradox, doesn't it? But the underlying psychology is entirely rooted in how we detect threats.
Right, our internal threat detection.
If the flawless I know everything image someone is projecting doesn't match the messy reality of human limitation because we subconsciously know nobody has all the answers, our brains immediately start looking for the catch.
So like, wait, what are they hiding?
Exactly. When someone pretends they know everything, our radar goes off and we think, what else are they faking?
That is so true. Fake competence breeds suspicion because it feels inherently unsafe.
Yes. Conversely, honesty about your limits proves that you are grounded in reality. It proves you have the self-awareness to recognize your boundaries and the humility to ask for help when you need it.
Yeah.
You are communicating to your team, I care significantly more about getting this outcome right than I care about protecting my own ego.
Which is an incredibly magnetic quality. Like, people are drawn to leaders and colleagues who subordinate their ego to the shared goal.
And it invites collaboration. When you say, I don't know, you are actually creating space for someone else to step up and share their expertise.
That's a great point.
It strengthens the thread between you because you are actively relying on them.
And these daily mechanics, the compounding interest of reliability, the reverse flex of admitting when you need help, they get supercharged when you foster positive experiences outside the strict formal bounds of the work itself.
Yes, the shared experiences, a team outing, a team lunch, even just laughing over a ridiculous email before a meeting starts.
Because it allows people to connect on a multi-dimensional level.
Exactly.
It makes it so much easier to trust each other back at the desks when the pressure is on, because you aren't just relying on John, the senior analyst, you are relying on John, the guy who I debated the best sci-fi movies with over tacos yesterday.
Precisely. You are putting massive deposits into that relationship bank account, and frankly, you are going to need a healthy balance in that account.
Because things will go wrong.
Because eventually, inevitably, friction is going to occur.
Which brings us to a crucial pivot in our deep dive. Because even with the most reliable mechanics in the world, even with 1,000 shared lunches and perfect sincerity, mistakes will happen.
We are human after all.
Exactly. Stress will peak. The invisible thread will start to fray. So our job now is to figure out how to stop that thread from snapping completely. How do we repair trust when the system breaks down?
This is the hard part.
It really is. The framework focuses heavily on two repair tools: directness and accountability.
This is where the rubber really meets the road for most professionals. Because building trust is relatively easy when the sun is shining and the project is on track.
Right, everyone's happy.
Repairing it when things are falling apart is an entirely different, highly specialized skill set.
So the first step is addressing distrust directly. The cardinal rule here is that ignoring friction only makes distrust metastasize.
It just grows in the dark.
Exactly. Imagine you sense that a coworker is being distant. Maybe they are withholding information in meetings or just giving you curt, one-word answers.
The dreaded K-text.
Yes. Instead of making assumptions, or worse, complaining to another colleague about it, you pull them aside and say, I notice we haven't been on the same page lately. Can we talk about it?
It is an incredibly disarming phrase.
But let me push back here, because for a massive percentage of the workforce, that sounds absolutely terrifying.
Oh, I know.
Confrontation is so hard. When you even think about having that conversation, your heart rate goes up, your palms sweat. How does someone actually initiate this without it just feeling like they're picking a fight in the middle of the office?
This raises an important question, and the answer lies entirely in the framing. You have to understand that this is not a confrontation, it is an observation.
Not observation, okay.
The moment you use accusatory language like, why are you being so difficult, or what is your problem with me, their defensive walls slam down and the thread snaps.
Because you've just made them the enemy.
Exactly. But by saying, I noticed we haven't been on the same page, you are acknowledging a shared dynamic. You are shifting the entire architecture of the conversation from a me versus you mentality to an us versus the problem mentality.
Oh, I like that. Us versus the problem.
You are showing that you value the working relationship enough to step into the discomfort to fix it. You aren't stepping into the friction to win a fight. You are inviting them to co-author a solution with you.
And just simply opening that door and removing the accusation is often enough to instantly de-escalate the tension.
Almost every time.
Okay, so that handles interpersonal friction when the lines get crossed. But what happens when you are the one who actively, undeniably dropped the ball? What happens when you are the teammate from our opening scenario who missed the massive deadline and left everyone scrambling?
The panic sets in.
It does. The ultimate repair tool here is demonstrating accountability. And the rule is absolute. No caveats. No excuses. If you miss a deadline that negatively affects your team, you step up and say, "That's on me. I miscalculated my time and I apologize. Here's the plan for how I'll make sure it doesn't happen again."
That's on me. 4 of the hardest yet most structurally sound words you can speak in a professional environment.
I think the power dynamics of this are really fascinating. Why does that specific phrasing work so well? Like, why is it so critical to drop the excuses even if there were entirely valid extenuating circumstances for why you missed the deadline?
Because excuses, even valid ones, are fundamentally a defense mechanism, and defense mechanisms push people away.
Interesting.
When you offer excuses, you are essentially telling your team that your specific circumstances are more important than the impact your failure had on them. It creates a power vacuum where resentment rushes in.
Right, because they're left holding the bag while you're explaining why it's not your fault.
Eh.
But by taking accountability without caveats, you actually seize control of the narrative. You eliminate that power vacuum.
You do. When you say, "That's on me, I miscalculated," you are doing something profoundly reassuring for the group's psychology.
Yeah.
You are proving that you possess the integrity to own your actions, even when those actions carry negative consequences. It proves to your team that you care more about their success and the reality of the situation than you care about protecting your own image.
Oh.
Ironically, being willing to tarnish your own image temporarily by admitting a fault ultimately builds a much deeper, more resilient level of respect.
You are proving that you are safe to be around, even when things go totally sideways.
Right.
Because you won't throw anyone else under the bus.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? We've looked at how to spin the invisible thread by combining care with sincerity. We've looked at how to reinforce it daily through the compounding interest of reliability and the reverse flex of knowing our limits.
Right.
And we've looked at how to repair it when it frays through directness and absolute accountability.
Yeah.
Repairing trust naturally leads right back into the continuous, ongoing effort of maintaining it.
It is an endless cycle. Trust is never a finished product.
And maintaining it. Feltman uses a really great concluding analogy for this. Keeping a trust-building mindset is like watering a plant.
It's a classic analogy, but it's true.
It really is. It doesn't just grow by itself. You can't just plant the seed, walk away for 6 months, and expect this thriving, beautiful relationship. It requires continuous work and daily habit. You have to tend to it.
If you ignore it, it withers. It's really that simple.
So, to the listener out there right now, how do you actually implement this starting today? Here is your checklist. Start your interactions by communicating real care. Ask how someone is doing and actually mean it.
Yeah.
Say what you mean. If you need an extension, ask for it before the deadline, not after. Deliver on the small, mundane tasks repeatedly. Be the person who sends the Friday report on time, every single time.
Every time.
Admit when you need to learn, drop the ego, and be honest about your limits to bypass people's threat detection radar. And finally, own your mistakes entirely. When you mess up, eliminate the excuses, just say "that's on me," and offer a solution. The daily check-in is incredibly simple. You just have to look at your interactions and ask yourself, am I being trustworthy in my actions today?
What's fascinating here is, well, we've spent this entire deep dive focusing on how your actions prove your trustworthiness to others. It's a very internally focused framework. But if trust is truly an invisible thread connecting two people, we have to consider the physics of that thread. How does your proactive honesty, your fierce reliability, and your lack of excuses impact the other person's behavior?
Oh, that's a really good point.
Think about it. When you interact with someone who always tells the truth, who always owns their mistakes without getting defensive, who genuinely cares about your well-being, doesn't it make you want to be better?
Yeah, it totally does.
Doesn't it subtly, almost unconsciously, pressure you to rise to their level? The ultimate power of mastering the mechanics of trust might not just be about securing your own reputation or making your own work easier. It might actually be about inspiring the people around you to step up and become more trustworthy themselves, creating a true ripple effect in your workplace.
It's contagious. You aren't just building a strong thread for yourself. You could be creating a ripple effect that transforms the entire culture of your team. You are teaching everyone around you how to spin their own threads.
We encourage you to mull over that idea as you go through your week. Think back to that teammate we talked about at the very beginning, the one who ghosted you and left you sweating bullets. Imagine how radically different that scenario and your entire stress level would be if both of you were actively, daily watering that plant. Keep nurturing those invisible threads in your own lives. Keep showing up without excuses, and keep asking yourself if your actions are building that solid foundation. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the mechanics of trust.